Hey guys, Silven here. I'm going to be doing a video slightly different to last time. It's still going to be an analysis, but it's not going to be an analysis of a game where everything went right and we're winning the whole time and we're barely losing any lanes and it was just like a little bits here and there I could have improved on. This is going to be a game where I had a big disadvantage and I messed up a lot. Now obviously when you have a negative game, the biggest thing you can learn is from all of your mistakes. You can improve quite a bit from, hey, I could have warded here and I would have avoided this gank, and hey, I could have just, queued here or something like that. So that's what I'm going to be going through mostly, to see where I could have made bigger improvements to this game so it could have ended up like one of those games. We did end up winning this game, and I'll go through the steps on how. So like last video, the first step we're going to do is look through the team comps of both teams, and we're going to go through our team first, and we're going to look at the pros. Now this was a normals game, so there's obviously a mirror matchup with the Blitzcranks, and so we couldn't really counter pick or anything like that, and the picks aren't 100% coherent with the team just because it's a normals game. So we'll start off by looking at our pros. We've got a heavy amount of poke from Ezreal and Azir, and in the late game this gets to like an extreme level where we do a huge amount of damage with poke. We've got very hard engage with Echo and Nocturne, and obviously Azir is able to jump in with Shurima Shuffle. And obviously we've got really good team fights because of that. We've got a little bit of pick potential. We've got good split with Nocturne. Nocturne can split, do a lot of damage, and is very hard to solo. And we're a very mobile team, so we've got Ezreal and Azir with dashes. Echo, sorry, also has a dash. And Nocturne with the global ulti, Blitz with his movement speed buff. So those are the benefits of our team. That's what we're going to play to our strengths. And obviously the negatives are we have no real good peel. The way Blitzcrank's going to play is a very aggressive style, so he's actually not going to be peeling for us. We're very squishy just because we don't have a tank top laner. We could build tank, but again, we're not going to do that this game. That's not what, and it's in a normal, so we're probably not going to get that style of play. And we're low on AD if Nocturne gets behind. So if Nocturne gets behind, you've got Ezreal, but again, Ezreal takes a while to ramp up. So for a while, they can just build magic resist to a really good effect. Now, their team is a very different team comp to ours. So theirs is all about picks. They've got your Ashe ult, your Lee Sin, your Blitzcrank, and Katarina kind of doesn't actually fit in their team at all. Same with Teemo. It's kind of pulling the team out to two different, sections. So they've got the amazing pick potential, and they're mobile, but they have a lot of cons to this team comp. They've got a really bad split because Teemo just cannot take on Nocturne at all. And again, it's not a ranked game, so it's just random. But there's not many champions that Teemo can really, split push champions that Teemo can really take on without being fed or being ahead. So that's going to be a really big downside for them. They have no hard CC apart from Ashe and kind of Blitzcrank, but Blitzcrank's a pull champion. So they have no hard CC for a team fight for Katarina except for Ashe. And they just have overall bad team fights. And of course, the biggest negative of them all, they have Teemo. Teemo is just a bad champion. He doesn't really excel in anything. So I would give the strong edge to our team, but if they get ahead, they definitely have a possibility because they can just stack a lot of MR, and Nocturne's not going to really do much behind. Now let's get into the game. I'm going to have your standard buy, and then I'm just going to move down to the gank. I was going to move down to that bush where you can check for their gank because of Blitzcrank, but yeah, we're invading because we have our own Blitzcrank. We have a slightly better level 1. We're going to pick up a kill here in the bush because the Ashe isn't paying attention. So you can always generally get a feel for what their team is doing and maybe grab up a kill if you're all coherently and all together. Now the beginning of the lane with Katarina is not one where you really want to hard push or anything. What you really want to do is just grab CS and don't take damage, because she is going to have a lot more damage than you at levels basically 1 through 5 or so. That's where you're going to really start picking up with your items. Now you can see with this, I'm just keeping my soldiers around her daggers. So what this does is she can't go in on me. I zone her out from her CS. If she harasses me, I can always just follow up with W's and Q's and that kind of stuff. And if she goes for CS, I can just follow up with W's and Q's. Now, it hasn't taken long, but here's where I've made my first mistake. I've pushed this wave too hard. And I've pushed it onto the tower, which is okay. It starts denying her CS. But basically, I don't pay attention to where the jungler is. And I know where the jungler is because we know where he started and we know where he was going. So I waste my flash, and I dodged the Q, so it's okay. If I played it better, I could definitely have got a kill on Katarina there as well. You can see all my cooldowns are up. I have more than 170 mana. You want to sit on 170 mana as Azir. Azir does best with that, because what happens is you can do a full combo to get away. You got 40 mana on W, 100 on Q, and 60 on E. So you'll be able to get your full distance away on 170. That's how you want to play your lane. Now there's a lot of boring farm here, but the thing with Azir is that the more you get to farm, the more you are ahead. Azir scales better than pretty much any champion in the game. If you're trading kills, you will probably come off second best. But if you're just farming and they're farming, you're going to come off better. Now, I make another mistake here. And what that is I stick around for too long. I could have gone back right now. The back may not have been absolutely optimal, although right now is an optimal time to back. But basically, I was just baiting her into a kill, because I thought potentially I might be able to get a kill and she won't be able to return the favor. Because I knew I had barrier up, I knew I had shield up, and I knew she couldn't do anything under tower. My mistake here was taking the damage from her Shumpo, and it really put me behind in that trade. Now, with Katarina, this is actually one of the few champions that you don't want to go an early stinger. Because she jumps around so much, you actually just want to get the trade damage. You always want to have the trade damage, and it's going to be way more beneficial when you're trading with her to get a codex first. So if your gold permits it, you can get it, but if you've got 100 short or something like that, just go for the dagger and you'll still be effective, but you won't be as optimal as getting the codex. Now this roam for me was just way too slow. We easily could have picked up 2 kills there if I was just a bit ahead, because I would have been in range for that WEQ. So what happened there is I was very, very hesitant to whether we can win the fight, so I was going to stay for the CS and just tell my mate to get out, but instead I just acted slowly, and really you should make a decision earlier than that. So you should say, I'm roaming, or I'm just staying here for the CS. You decide, you work it out, and you have full effect, because what happened is I missed half a CS, half a wave of CS, and I didn't get to the roam in time, so I failed on both fronts. Now this trade goes incredibly poorly because I don't react fast enough. If she had ulted and then I ult straight away, I would have definitely hit the ult, and that would have actually been the kill. You can see her health right now. I would have taken that chunk off, and I could have kept going in on her. But because of the delay, she was able to just get out the second I ulted and take all of my cooldowns and mana with it. I make another mistake here by not following up with the E. If I had just gone WEQ, I would have got the kill there 100%, but I was unsure that she had Shumpo. I wasn't sure if she could dash around. I wasn't really paying attention enough to her cooldowns. It was lucky that Ezreal picked up the kill straight after, but because of that misplay there, and if Ezreal wasn't looking, there could have been a very different result for this lane. Now I'm making another mistake here of missing my E, and I don't react at all with my flash or my ulti. Again, I wasn't sure if Shumpo was up, and I guess a lot of this has been because I don't play Cat that much. I need to really make sure I know those cooldowns, make sure I'm paying attention 100% to know those cooldowns, because I've missed quite a few opportunities being unsure whether to go in or not, and I don't want to, kill myself doing so. Now after I've done a quick check to the jungle, I poke Cat down quite a bit here, and I know she doesn't want to engage, so all I'm doing is poking her down to the point that if she does engage, we can just Nocturne ult on her straight away. And that's what actually does end up happening. Props to Nocturne for actually having the vision to actually just straight up go for it as soon as Shumpo's down. Now I'm going to go back and pick up a Nash's Tooth, and we get to every single Azir's favourite power spike, and that is the Nash's Tooth power spike. There's 2 big ones on Azir. Nash's Tooth and Nash's Tooth, Sorcery's Void Staff. Those are your 2 big ones where you're going to start shredding people. You want to take any fight you can get here. Even with Katarina, it's going to be a really good fight. You're going to trade a lot of damage. Now she starts off with an incredibly obvious Shumpo, and then I follow up by just pushing her straight into a tower, so she has to retreat. If she doesn't, she'll sit on my soldiers, and then I can just chase her up and kill her. Now I make the absolute biggest mistake in the entire game of just flashing into a Blitzcrank hook, wasting my barrier, and then I die no matter what happens. So I wasted all my summoners, and it really, really, really screws me up for the next 5 minutes. So even though I made all these mistakes, I still have a Nash's Tooth at 14 minutes, which isn't really bad. It's a bit slow. You could definitely have Sorceries by this point, but it's still strong. So we see a team fight converging in mid, and so I'm able to pick up a quick kill and just start chucking out some damage, so they have no chance of winning that fight. They would have won that fight even if I wasn't there, but it definitely meant that there's a 0% chance of Nocturne dying there. We quickly push down the tower straight after that, and we make the mistake of not pushing down a second tower. We probably could have got another tower. Then what happens is I see Teemo in the bush, so I quickly roam around to grab a kill on Teemo. Now, obviously, we have no vision in their bottom jungle, and I even spot Lee Sin a second later. I push Teemo away to make sure he can't get those extra auto attacks off, because if he did, and then Lee Sin hit me, I had 0% chance of living. Quickly pick up blue buff and move around to the mid lane, because we're pretty sure most of their team's around there. Ezreal and Blitz make the cardinal sin of face checking. And what happens here is I send my soldiers too far because obviously we didn't know there were going to be any enemies in there. I think we're chasing someone, and basically I can't follow up with any damage. That's really, really, really bad. So with Azir, you really can't overshoot his soldiers, otherwise your damage is 0. You change from like one of the biggest damage dealers in the game to less than Teemo. Now this part is really silly on behalf of our team. We have no Nocturne. We just do a lot of farting around, just pushing, getting pushed. We're fighting around the tower, which is okay, but we're not really going to win a team fight unless they make a huge mistake. Fortunately, they make a huge mistake right here and they walk straight into both of my soldiers. One of my soldiers is slightly out of position, so I don't actually get enough damage on, and I Q wrong and I don't flash the Ash stun. But I do manage to bait the Lee Sin Q, because I obviously have barrier, and he obviously didn't take that into account when he jumped in on me. So all around, we ended up winning the fight, but we had every chance to lose it there. Now this part is a whole bunch of farming and pushing. I'm not doing so great, our team's doing well, and to maintain our lead we just need to keep those lanes pushing so that if we do make a mistake, they can't really capitalize on it. They have to go and push lanes. So it's just a whole bunch of farming and trying to get some new items. And then I do manage to go and get a pick off on Blitzcrank, because I notice he's low. I assume he's going to go back into one of the bushes or something, and there's not really anything he could do to stop me. So we're going to keep continuing with the farming, but here I decide to make another silly mistake. I grab the blue buff and I start going into the mid to push mid, and I see Katarina on the screen. We have vision of Katarina pretty much the whole time. And of course I get a little bit greedy. We know where Katarina is right now, we can see her. And she shumpos and then flashes straight onto me. Sorry, flashes and shumpos straight onto me. I'm really slow on the ult, and then as a result I just die straight away. In the remaining fights, it's not something we should be fighting. They have 4 men and we only have 3 because Nocturne is split pushing. So we're using our advantages of the Nocturne split push, but what we should have been doing in mid is only really like half engaging, like pressuring and saying that we're going to engage, pretending to engage, and then not engaging to give Nocturne's time to split push. Fortunately, they don't really respond properly, and Nocturne's able to take a tower really quickly. Don't forget when you come out of the base to just always dash over the Nexus, just to make it easier to get to lane. Now, one big strength for Azir is that he can easily get out of situations like this, where there's 4 men just converging on every possible direction, and you're able to just dash out, and Lee Sin ends up kicking me straight backwards. Teemo is an easy pickup because he chased too far, and then we just have an easy team fight now. Now, we don't take advantage of the potential to team fight, and we muck around too much. So I'm just going to use this time to really get into the talk of what is our win condition right now and what is their win condition. That's what we should always be asking ourselves, like usually around 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes and 30 minutes. Somewhere around those times when there's like big fights that happen. What are we trying to do? What are they trying to do? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to push the side lanes to get a team fight, to take objectives, and then ultimately take inhibitors. Right, so we want to get the side lanes pushing. Right now there's like a Baron fight going on, but we can easily repel the Baron fight. There's no pressure on us because we have the control of the side waves. Here there's going to be another team fight where Echo gets caught out, and then we're all really pulled into it. Because we have such an advantage and our side lanes are pushing, we can just take this team fight. It's really easy. If that weren't the case, right now, when we get this quadra kill, we would have to go back to the side lanes and start pushing them out. So we look for Cat to try and get Nocturne the pentakill, and we end up managing to get it, even sacrificing Flash for it. So that's really sick. So right now we're demoralizing them just by getting that penta, by winning these fights where it doesn't look like we have the advantage sometimes, but we actually do, just because of the way the map is set up. And we go straight back to where our advantage is. We go bot lane and we push bot lane. We go top lane and we push top lane. We're pushing those side lanes so we can play those team fights. We do get a bit caught out here, and so by a little bit of mismanagement and uncertainty really to whether Ashe has ulti and how much damage Teemo does, even though he's mostly tank, because we're not sure if we can burst him down fast enough that he does enough damage combined between the three of them to kill us, or if we can just snipe him down really quickly. So we do make the mistake of, like, we probably could have gone in, but we didn't. But we do redeem ourselves by just going in right now. So we pretty easily pick up all the kills on all these enemies here. Luckily we have Nocturne ult backup, so it makes it much easier. And I make the cardinal sin of all Azir players that I said not to do last video. I make this mistake where I preemptively ult and then I cannot do anything to deal with Cat. There's just nowhere I can go. Either way I jump, I die, so that was unavoidable after I got spotted. Now after I get back up, we go straight back to exactly what we need to do to win this game. They go top, they go bot, we push the lanes, we push mid, we go for a team fight. That is our strategy. Even though we're completely uncoordinated and it's a normal game, our strategy is to get into those team fights, to force them into their team fights where they lose. They either lose something in the side lane or they lose the team fight. This is the last team fight of the game, and it doesn't really matter of our positioning or who's up, who's down. We're all ahead now. We all worked as a team to get ahead by using those side lanes and made sure that we went and used all of our advantages. So in this game, I played really poorly. I made a whole lot of mistakes. I started off absolutely terribly against Katarina, but because we used those side lanes and we played the right fights even though we were behind, we were able to make it back and win the game. That's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment, subscribe, and let me know what you thought. Thank you.
Shitty in montage time, go!
Not even for the montages. Oh, you got it though!